Hey Drew, you killed this shit.
Welcome back, everybody, to the third episode of In the Four Corners of Wrestling. I'm your host, Marshall Mr. Soul Simmons, and we're going to go around the square circle, get back acclimated with everybody. You know what I mean? Blue corner, Jose Quavo. How you feeling today, bro?
Oh, I'm feeling ready, man. I'm feeling ready. It's gonna be a good one.
My man. I know that's right, man. Silver corner, Muscle Man Rell. What's going on?
Hey, I'm here, man. I'm ready to get this thing rolling. Let's go.
Cool. Black corner, Mr. PipeBomb Colin. What's happening?
Everybody keeps saying they're ready. Like, ready for what? Ready to get embarrassed again? What are y'all talking about?
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay. And then I'm going to give a special shout out to my man from Greenville, Flair Country, North Carolina, in the red corner, Jay Will. What's happening, baby?
Yo, what's up? We back again. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. All right, so we're going to jump right into the first topic then. We're going to jump right in. And I like this guy, but I want to get your thoughts on it. The Undertaker, the dead man. You know what I'm saying? You hear that gong and it's like, shit. For me, goosebumps come, and I was actually there at the arena one time. Anybody ever seen Undertaker come out? Ever seen his intro in person?
Oh, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Man, like, did y'all get goosebumps too, or was it just me?
Chills,
No, I did.
Chills, bro. Chills.
Like, and it's like kind of cold. Like, I'm like, is they pumping fucking air in this joint or something like that? But that shit's like legit. If you've never seen that shit, let me tell you, you missed out. And those that have, that was like a fucking cool ass intro. But I want to go around and get everybody's thoughts about the Undertaker. You know what I mean? Like, where do you think he ranks? You know what I'm saying? He was a big man, had good moves. You know what I'm saying? Could move like like real slow in the ring, and the next thing you know, boom, 3-4 moves just out of nowhere. So, what do y'all remember about the Undertaker? And what do you think about his legacy? I remember when he threw Mick Foley off top of the cage. Y'all remember that shit? Anyone?
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
Myself.
One of his most thuggish moments ever.
Bro,
with
like
a broken fucking foot.
With people were stopped, and like it was a moment where you couldn't help but like, yo, is he dead?
Yeah.
For real,
Yeah. Like, Rell, what do you think?
What do I think about the Hell in a Cell, or what do I think about Taker in general?
Taker, Hell in a Cell. What do you think about it all, man?
Well, I'll start with the Hell in a Cell because we just brought that up recently. Well, with the first Hell in a Cell, well, it was the second because the first was with Shawn Michaels. So the one where he threw Mankind off, I'll be honest, I didn't know whether it was planned. I knew everything was not fake. I don't want to say fake, but scripted. But I definitely was like, was this supposed to go this way? Because I was very unsure. At the moment, I was like, was that supposed to snap? Or
right, was that supposed to happen? Like,
so I was a little taken away by it, but that's that's really what ascended Mankind's career as well. But with Taker, talk about longevity. You talk about changing with the times, from coming in with the graveyard and the gray. He had the gray attire, the black and the gray. Then he got beat up by Yokozuna, going from the Titanatron. Rest in peace, and the souls will live among others, and Then he's all of a sudden floating, levitating throughout the crowd. Then he comes back in the purple outfit. And the reason why I'm bringing out the outfits is because it was those little things he did that caught people's attention and allowed him to change with the times. Going to American Badass. Then he changed his finisher to the Last Ride, which was a sick move.
Mhm.
Then he changed with the Hell's Gate submission. Undertaker could move. He's a big guy that can walk the ropes.
Walk the ropes, right?
Jump
Old
from the top
school.
of, old school, could jump from the top of the rope. Did the crossbody when he would flip while clotheslining. I mean, it was a guy that was nimble on his feet. Undertaker is one of the best. I think we're gonna all get caught up in the moment and say he is a top 10 guy. And I had to sit down and rethink it. And he might be a top 10 guy, but I'll put him at the lower end of the 10. I think we all may get caught up in longevity of him and it boosts him up, but there are a lot of better wrestlers than him. But he, I think, has the best character and is probably arguably the best big man ever in WWE. And I'm specifically saying WWE.
Okay,
And,
okay. All right, Jay Will. I'd like to know your thoughts about this. What do you think about, the Taker and what Rell said?
Okay. Taker to me personally is one of the highlights of my wrestling enthusiasm. I think huge matches of Takers that define what I thoroughly enjoy about wrestling. The Shawn Michaels Hell in a Cell match, classic match, was the first one that I remember. I legit just watched some videos talking about how they wanted to do originally we had the cage match with the big ugly blue cages, and now we wanted to do something totally different by bringing in the top where there was legitimately the thought of the inability to escape. And if you watch how the buildup of that match, it was amazing how they had Shawn kind of running away from the Undertaker, cheap shots with DX, having China and Triple H back him up. Then they before the match, they showed the referees looking under the ring and all that stuff. Great setup for the match. But like Rell said, the character progression of the Undertaker is greatly appreciated. Not only with the outfits, but the whole gimmick where he went from the dead man when he kind of came after. We had the whole grave digging thing. We had the dead man. Then we had the American Badass after the Ministry of Darkness run, which Ministry of Darkness run gets underappreciated because how the timeline of it ended. It ended poorly with Vince McMahon being the higher power. But Undertaker had a good run at that time. It was not his best run, but the American Badass was legit a different side of him that we had to grow to appreciate. And I loved every match of it. The last ride, it's a pile driver, but he made that pile driver hit so much harder with how he dropped you and how you took that bump. Then when it's embarrassing, that motherfucker gave you a wedgie. He gave you a power bomb. My bad. He gave you a power bomb, but motherfucker gave you a wedgie when he did it. That is so disrespectful. We think about the longevity of his career and how much he put his all into wrestling, the business itself, but we also got to appreciate how he was willing to help put people over. That's a bit of selflessness that you have to think about. Granted, every wrestler is yo, I'm going to come in. Nobody is I want to be a mid-card wrestler my entire career. But he was willing to take the back seat, but we all knew at any moment he could main event any event without a problem. Any event if he wanted to, as long as the story made sense, the build-up made sense, and the finish was spot on. And we of course we had some terrible finishes to the stories. I still question the streak being lost to Brock. I'm pretty sure everyone else as well feels that way, but I mean, it's also a case of where could we have gone? Where could they have gone from there at that point? But I just think that Taker's work ethic, his ability in the ring, his mic work progressed. He had a mouthpiece. He had Paul Bearer as his mouthpiece arguably one of the best managers. I said it. Fight me. But
Okay,
then
we may
he,
have some that want to do that, but
but then he developed himself on the mic over time, and I don't know about anybody else. I'm just going to say it. You heard him talk like as Undertaker. Then you heard him talk as like himself as Mark Calloway, and you're like, yo, he was throwing his voice this entire time. Like my whole world was shook hearing that man's voice, like normal. And it just goes to show how well of a character he was. I love the American Badass. I love the Dead Man. And then when you kind of see him at the end of his career, to see he kind of merged both characters at the same time. He had the Dead Man look, but he kept those gloves as the biker version, the American Badass, and it was such a good it was a good sign of who he was as a character. And
so the evolution that evolved.
Yeah, you saw true evolution at that final road, and bro, I could go. Okay. Give it to somebody else.
All right, we're gonna go to Jose Quavo.
Man, see, you talk about Taker. There's so many different versions of Taker that you can talk about because Taker's awesome, man. I think that's what made the streak really cool, is that you didn't just see somebody holding on to a undefeated streak like a Goldberg, for example. You actually saw him coming back and being used in different storylines, and you're like, wow, we can really keep using Taker in so many different areas. And I think his versatility made him really, really good, you know?
Okay. Colin?
By far, I rank him top. In my opinion, he's definitely top 10.
Top 10? Okay. Colin from DC.
So, it's funny. The Undertaker, when I was little, The Undertaker always used to, well, not always, but, I was a big Hulk Hogan fan. And obviously when they fought for the WWF title at the time, like, The Undertaker gave me nightmares as a kid. So it was pretty crazy because, Hulk Hogan, he's the good guy, the ultimate good guy. And then, death is just stalking him and choking the life out of him. And it's like,
Hulk Hogan,
I'm like, what is happening here? Hulk up, get mad. What's happening? Do something. And he's trying to kill Hulkamania. That's it. So that scared the shit out of me. But as I got older, I just saw all the nuances and all the things that what the Undertaker character was and what it was about. And I thought it just an amazing character, an amazing performer. And then as he grew, he went from the old school golden era to the new generation, and he fought Brett, he fought Shawn, he moved on from there to the Attitude Era, and he fought Austin, and he fought Rocky. He moved on from there, and he fought to I guess the Ruthless Aggression Era, and he fought Orton and Batista, and he just kept evolving. You know what I'm saying? He just kept evolving. He kept growing, and that's something definitely to be commended on. Obviously, the legendary matches, the Hell in a Cell match with Mankind, or the whatchamacallit, the Hell in a Cell match with Shawn, just like all-time classics, all-time. Like if they were write down, the history of wrestling, those two matches, in my personal opinion, are going to definitely be up there, etched in stone. They were just perfection, especially that Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels. Everything about that was just amazing to me. The storytelling, obviously the performance, it was great. My problem with The Undertaker is that dude needed to give that shit up a long time ago. I'm not a big fan of The Undertaker probably over the course of like the last 6 years. After the Lesnar match, that motherfucker should have retired.
Yeah.
Him showing up once a year and doing nothing, and then just showing up once a year, and it's, oh, hey, guess what? Here's the WrestleMania streak. I'm putting it on the line against somebody. Like sometimes it was just like, hey, I'm here. Who's gonna fight me? I think he was supposed to fight. There was one time where there was a number one contenders match. I think it was the one against Punk. There was a number one contenders match to see who would face The Undertaker. Like, I'm like, what is that? That's no story. There's no nothing. There's no flow to it. So just the idea of him just randomly showing up and hey, I'm here to fight. Hey, who wants to beat me? I thought that was trash. And to be honest, he wasn't the same Undertaker after 2014. Obviously, the whole aura of The Undertaker was the streak. And I thought, maybe they should have. I think personally, Orton should have probably beat him way back in 2005, 2006. That's when it should have been given up then. But him fighting legendary matches with Triple H, obviously legendary matches with Shawn Michaels. That's all good and well, but he held on a little too long for my liking. He could have sat his ass down a long time ago.
Yeah, I will agree with you there. Like the past years, getting hurt, the big botches. But then we also got to look at age. Like Father Time is undefeated. And when you have that moment, like you were saying, trying to chase that dragon, sometimes you lose track of time, but that body don't. And Vince is greedy, and Vince know that is a big money marquee right there. So, when you're doing something that you love and, your body won't allow you to do it. But what was he doing? After a match, he was going to surgery. Then after the surgery, he was going back to the pay-per-view. And then after the pay-per-view, going back to another surgery. So, and he was doing that for us. So, yeah, he should have sat down. I thank him. I love seeing him come out there. For me, he just came out and went right back in. But that's just me personally. Rell, what you got?
Yeah, I want to touch on something that Colin had mentioned. First of all, I do believe that he should have retired a little earlier. A match that I think is very underrated is the Triple H, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels as the referee. That match does not get talked about a lot. That match had us, I don't care if you were watching it, you were at the edge of your seat, especially when it was super kick into pedigree, pin. I think almost everybody thought it was over at that moment because first of all, storyline-wise, it added up. I'm defending my friend, and you never knew what could have happened at that moment. With The Undertaker, you don't need a storyline. The streak sells itself. The streak is the storyline. So if you're the number one contender or whatever it may be, and you just show up, that is the storyline in itself. You don't need a month to tell that. It's just, can you beat the streak? It sells and it tells its own story. So you don't need that. One thing I appreciate about The Undertaker was he was always a main eventer. You can always keep him in the main event or you can move him down the card. He was movable and he never, his status in the company or no one for a doubt, no one ever thought he's getting buried because at any moment you could put him back at the top for a main event. He was just that good or his character was just that good. He was always believable. He was always relevant. Unlike some people, they lose their relevancy. Seth Rollins, one of my favorite, he lost his relevancy. So for him to keep that and stay relevant and can go in the main event, and then the next month he's third on the card or second on the card, that speaks volumes. And like everybody else said, the development of his character from being just hit and he's no sales to selling to American Badass, Ministry, and I agree, I forgot who said it earlier. Ministry of Darkness is one of the most underrated characters because it was so short. And I believe he got injured and they gave him time off. But that character, I wish it was a little bit longer because the storylines that went with it and the feuds that went with it were one of the best, and it does not get mentioned enough. So that's pretty much what I have to say, and I definitely want to give credit to that Triple H Shawn Michaels because no one mentions that. As much as I love the Hell in a Cell between Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, that Hell in a Cell with Triple H and the Undertaker is one of the best matches. And matter of fact, I think at that moment he should have hung it up because after that match he was never the same. He was never the same. So I think at that match, and it was the best ending to a streak with him winning it. They could have walked away. It was the end of what did they say? If anybody remembers, it was the end of an era. And I felt that was the best way you could walk out. Them holding each other up.
It was holding each other at the entryway.
You couldn't put a better picture. You couldn't have a better storyline. And that match was one of the best. It wasn't better than Shawn Michaels and him, but it was up there. And I thought that was fitting. Not to mention it was also Hell in a Cell. So,
they will.
Colin talked about how Undertaker brought out these huge matches. Like it's not talked about enough, but the whole Inferno match with Kane, amazing, bro. It is. Oh man, think about this for 1 second. They put that on a pay-per-view. they say, yo, timeout, run that back. And then they put another one on Raw.
Right.
On Raw, that's how good of a match it was. Not in like, let's be for real, for real. Like, it takes like being in that ring is already hard, but with the heat coming off of the flames while performing in that ring, bro, not to mention, him and Paul Bearer set up for a amazing character to come out with Kane. They pitched the Kane thing for such a long time. Then we finally got that payoff when Kane came down to the ring. We could appreciate how Undertaker, his ability to let somebody else come in, and like Undertaker was an unshakable person by look. But when Kane came into the ring, you got to see, yo, this is a character that legitimately does have a weakness. And at that moment, we were able to see it. Backtrack a little more. His feud with Diesel, oh man, fantastic. Fantastic. When he played that's when we kind of got the mind games of the Undertaker. Like when he of course it was camera magic, we know now. The putting Diesel in the casket and then him seeing himself, man, that was some good stuff. Kids were shaking at home. Kids were sitting there like, yo, whoa. How is he in there? Man, Taker's my dude, bro. Taker's my dude. I won't say he's not it. He does have his faults. We can be honest with you. Like, he does have his faults, but we have more positives than negatives with him. I don't think everything, the negatives strictly come from him himself. I think that might have been the business and Vince more so than it was himself. Even though he admits, like, my pride wouldn't let me finish in this way. And he's mad enough to admit that. But Taker's my dude, bro. Taker's my dude.
Okay, so what's your best version of the Taker? Which version do you like the best? I like American Badass the best. You know what I mean? We got, him talking to us more, you know what I'm saying? Him being himself more, great version of the Taker. Him on the bike, coming out with some sweet ass bikes. So what was your best version of it? Your favorite?
So I'm going to have to say Taker before the Ministry of Darkness. He would when he had his fights with Shawn, his feud with Shawn, his feud with Stone Cold and Rock, and earlier during that time, the Attitude Era. But then American Badass, like those are my two favorite. I can't choose one over the other, honestly, because you got a totally different side of the character. He was the most enjoyable character as American Badass, though, because again, it felt authentically him.
Yeah. What do you think, Colin? Favorite version or best version of the Taker?
I'm actually kind of torn between two. I actually have when he first came back, when he first returned as the Undertaker. I guess it was like WrestleMania 20. That right there, that little window. I think he fought just his matches. First off, it was a combination of just the return of the Undertaker, the dead man Undertaker gimmick. But then the matches that he had were just crazy from that point forward. So he would fight, Rey Mysterio in one match. He'd turn around, he'd fight Kurt. He'd turn around and fight Batista. He'd turn around and fight Randy. And every single one of those matches, were just epic. They were epic classics. And then Big Evil Undertaker. I think that was back in 2002. He fought Ric Flair at WrestleMania 18. He fought Jeff. He fought Jeff Hardy on Raw for the Undisputed title. The other one where he was it was a triple threat match between him, Kurt, and Rocky. That was I think it was actually the best triple threat match I've ever seen. So those two, Big Evil and the Return of the Dead Man, were my favorite Undertakers.
Okay. Jose Quavo.
Man, my favorite Undertaker was, he's been through the whole lineage when you think about it. Like he's just a big marker of time for wrestling. But my favorite match with him is him versus Batista. That was probably one of my favorite matches of seeing him go against Batista. Just the way that they build up that storyline, and then the payoff at the end was good because you see him win the title. So it's just like, okay, it was just time for that,
Okay. Rell, what was your favorite?
So this is a tricky one. So I have a personal, and then there's the obvious. The best version of the Undertaker, I think most people say, is American Badass, and after that, because his best matches typically were American Badass, and like everybody said, he was being himself. So mic work was amazing, and then Big Evil because he went heel, cut his hair. Um, so and again, the matches right into the Dead Man, Return of the Dead Man, I think were the best matches. But personally, and mine's going to be completely different from everybody. It usually is the Golden Era Undertaker from when he was gray, wearing the gray and the purple, because that's when he really caught my attention. And I think the reason why it doesn't get enough attention is that's around the time that WWE was losing to WCW. So during that time, he didn't get enough exposure. You remember they had Diesel, Razor Ramon, so they weren't really. He wasn't getting the best matches with other people. He had matches with Shawn Michaels back then. People just don't know about them because everybody was watching WCW at the time. Viewership was down for WWF, so a lot of people didn't take notice of Undertaker until way down later when Stone Cold came, and then the viewers spiked, and then up here goes Undertaker again. People are noticing it. But my personal favorite was the Golden Era Undertaker. Remember when he broke his nose, had to wear the mask? I mean, talk about great cover up to go with the character, wearing that mask, looking like the Phantom of the Opera. But those two Undertakers, that's my favorite personally.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna call it audible right here. Change your shit up. All right. Ask y'all quick question. The Taker stay too long? Colin, give me an answer.
Hell yeah. That dude should have retired. 2000, I guess, yeah. After the Lesnar match, he should have retired. Well, no. He should have retired after the Triple H match. The end of an era match. He should have retired there. Yeah. But by the way, just real quick, somebody said, I think it was Rell, here, I'm going to give you guys a quick, to the audience, I'm going to give you guys a quick behind the scenes thing, okay? A quick behind the scenes look. Rell is a good looking guy, big, strong, likes to lift weights, right? Likes to lift weights. That's not going to stop from this verbal ass whooping he's about to get. He's going to get embarrassed right now. This man said something about the American Badass being the best Undertaker, or one of the best Undertakers. No, he wasn't. He was fat. He was out of shape. He was slow. He was terrible. When 3 years later, after the fact, that Undertaker, Big Evil was something special. Any match between the Undertaker between 2000 and 2000 and from about his return at Judgment Day all the way to maybe about late 2001 was god awful. So, get it together.
Okay, so I'm going to respond real quick to that. Now realize I said most people, I'm reversing this ass whooping, all right? And then I'm giving you a boots to the ass. What did the Rock used to say? Boots to asses? Because I never said that was my favorite Undertaker. I said that was a lot of other people's favorite Undertaker, especially the people that I asked. I said my favorite Undertaker was the Golden Era Undertaker. I said those people say that that's the best version of the Undertaker, and that's actually debatable because I think I heard someone earlier say that was one of the best versions of the Undertaker. So that just wasn't me. That and his answer, I think it was Jose, if I'm not mistaken.
No, don't put that evil on me.
Okay, but somebody said it earlier. That was the
I like the American Badass Undertaker.
Which gives credit to what I said. But
only but one corner left, bro.
Yes, mine was the Golden Era. Let's get that straight. Either way, Colin, Undertaker's a top 10 wrestler. And there's nothing that you can really say to dim that down. All right.
Okay, Rell. Did he stay too long, Rell?
I'm good. Y'all good. Did he stay
he did stay too long?
Yes. Hell yeah. And here's where I'm gonna tag with Colin in. Triple H should have been the last match. Period. So Colin, you actually repeated what I said earlier. Another boost to ass. So he did stay too long. In short, Triple H should have been the last match.
Okay. Does anybody feel that CM Punk should have been the one to break the streak? Jose, what you think?
Hell yeah. What? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did he stay too long?
Of course. Yeah. That's the thing with this. I think that's one of the biggest troubles that wrestlers have is passing the baton to the next generation. You see Hulk talk about it all the time. And for him, it was trying to find who in the 90s would have taken the torch from him and follow and taken his gimmick and ran with it, right? So looking at Taker, who could really run and take Taker's streak. Um, like personally, when you saw him lose to Brock, it was like, well, we knew the streak was gonna break eventually. We just didn't know when it was gonna happen. So now it's like, okay, bam. Now we know the streak is breakable or beatable. So who can beat it again? But personally, I feel like yeah, Triple H versus Taker was by far, a great moment for him to like start handing the baton to the next generation. You know.
Okay. Okay. Jay Will, what do you think?
So I think that him losing to Triple H was good. I don't think that the symbolism of him passing it to the younger generation is reflective in him losing it to Triple H though. I'm 100% agreeing that it should be like he should lose to somebody who was newer. To be honest with you, at the time, uh, maybe Cena might have been a good. Well, not at the time. I can't say at the time. I think
Come on now.
Cena would have been a good person when it came to the idea of passing the baton to the newer wrestlers. I'm not saying Cena is, but somebody who is newer, because Triple H had been in the game a significantly long time. It doesn't, the symbolism of passing it to the newer generation does not work against Triple H.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask you this: do you feel that CM Punk should have broke the streak, and did he stay too long?
He 100% stayed too long. The Triple H match was great. It would have been a great piece to walk out on, and maybe years before then, but not. But like, of course, it's kind of hard to say that now. But again, like I said, he should have lost to a newer wrestler to officially walk out of. Like Roman. Matter of fact, I would say Roman would have been a good person for him to lose to and then walk out with. But
which he did lose to him.
He did, but like that should have been it. It should have been done. Donezo at that point completely. Like
Hold on, wait.
Go ahead.
Hold on. That question real quick. Hold on. Run that back, ref, because I feel like you pussyfooting around it. My bad. I'm just saying.
They will run it as usual. Run from the question.
So the question was, should CM Punk have beat him for the streak, and did he stay too long?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
CM should, yes. He stayed too long. Yes. I answered that question. Fact check. He stayed too long, but do I think CM? I'm going to say yes. I'll say yes. I'm just going to say yes.
CM Punk is overrated.
Ooh. Muscle Man Rell. Why
says a muscle man. You would think he's overrated.
Oh, I thought he was gonna like come back with that, like start swinging for the fences. But okay, we're gonna leave it at that right there. We're gonna move on to the next segment, and with this one, we're staying in the 2000s. Okay, and it's actually a pay-per-view that Taker was in. You guys might remember SummerSlam 2000. Kane versus The Undertaker. You know, it's a decent match. I really didn't like it. That was the one where Kane was unmasked, and it was a terrible finish. I didn't too much like it. I think they did the finish because he got busted open. That's what I think. But want to get you guys' thoughts on this card. It was actually a good pay-per-view, I feel. You know, we had the rights to censor. You know, the Good Father, formerly known as the Godfather, with Steven Richards and Bull Buchanan, versus Too Cool and Rikishi. You know, Too Cool and Rikishi came out with the hose. I was loving that shit. You know, that was a good match. What y'all think about that pay-per-view? What y'all think about it? I'm gonna name the card out for y'all, but what did y'all think about it? You know what I'm saying? We had, like I said, Rights to Censor versus Too Cool Rikishi. We had Road Dogg versus X-Pac. We had Trish and Val Venus versus
Ooh.
Rest in Peace Uncle Eddie and Rest in Peace China. My
Yep.
baby China. You know, Taz versus Jerry Lawler. You had Shane versus Steve Blackman, the Lethal Weapon. All right, the Rabbit Wolverine, Chris Benoit versus Y2J, Chris Jericho. All right, we had a TLC match this joint too in SummerSlam. You had the Dudley Boys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian.
Oh yes, an amazing
They
match.
was in a good match. Then you had Terry Runnels, I think her name was, or Terry with Perry versus the Cat with Al Snow. Which
yeah, Terry Reynolds and Perry Saturn, wasn't it?
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, too Perry for that one. I ain't gonna lie. And then, like I said, you had Kane versus the Undertaker, and then you had the main event was Rock versus Triple H versus Kurt Angle. And if y'all remember, this back when Kurt Angle was kissing up on Stephanie. he was kissing up on Stephanie and shit like that. So that shit was funny. But I want to know you guys, what was your highlights? What was your favorite moments of the match, of the card? My favorite match was Steve Blackman versus Shane. Because that was the one where Shane in the kendo stick to the back and he fell like 50, 75 feet. I think JR said 50, and then the King was like, no, he said he fell 75 feet. And then it's like Steve Blackman was chasing Shane McMahon around the arena the whole pay-per-view up until their match. That shit was funny. And the Benoit versus Jericho match, that was another one of my favorite shows. Like, that was a solid match. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match, and it went the whole 3 falls. And I feel like if you're gonna have a 2 out of 3 falls match, it might as well go fucking 3 falls. That's what it's there for. Love seeing Eddie and China on the screen together. Like, they had awesome chemistry. I got goosebumps watching that match. You know what I mean? And that's the one where China won the IC title, actually.
That's right.
So that was a really good match. I really didn't too much like the Road Dogg X-Pac match. You know, X-Pac coming away the winner in that one. The Rights to Censor too cool. The match that started off, that shit was funny. Because it was like we were so used to seeing the Godfather, and then he was the good father. So
with
he was
Stevie
like
Richards.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So he was like, fuck them hoes.
No, he's trying to save them hoes.
He mushed one hoe, dog, and she like toppled over head over heels and everything, and then he just tossed the other one, like, move, bitch. And dog, it was like, oh man, it was like a Dave Chappelle moment, dog. I was cracking up laughing. But all in all, it was an entertaining pay-per-view. Jose, what you think, man?
Man, my favorite match. Oh man, this is jam packed with so many good matches. That's the thing. It's hard to pick. You got China winning the IC belt in a mixed tag match, which was a really good match. You have Edge and Christian, the Dudleys and the Hardys, and you see Devon go through 4 tables, bro. I was like, whoa. That for me, the tag match was more exciting than the triple threat match, in my opinion.
Which tag match?
The tag match between Edge and Christian, them
TLC
beating the
Jones.
Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Everybody went through tables in that joint.
It's like we can't even use that word afterward. We just gonna toss it away, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was a good one. Jay Will, what was yours?
I'm going with the unexpected choice, actually. I'm going with the first match on the card, which was the Too Cool Rikishi fight versus Right to Censor.
So you know what I'm talking about when I say the good father tossed them hoes then.
Yeah, bro, he literally was the embodiment of fuck them hoes at that 1 second. Like, it was a solid match. It kind of solidified me liking it solidified me liking Rikishi as a wrestler. Like, he was amazing at that time. He was nimble, he was moving. But then the finish of the match, when Scotty 2 Hotty was about to do the worm and then got super kicked by solid ending of the match. It was a great ending of the match. But I'm going to go ahead and agree. That's my personal favorite. But when I think about the overall best match of the night, hands down, it was a TLC match. Like, I didn't care Rock, Triple H, and Kurt Angle. Great wrestlers, amazing wrestlers, but I was too done after the TLC match. I didn't care about nothing else. Pack it up and send them home.
Oh man. well, to be fair, they had to live up to that Shane and Blackman match because that joint had came before that. You know what I mean? And they tore the house down on that. They tore the house down. Colin, what do you think?
Yeah, my favorite match was the Benoit Jericho 2 out of 3 falls match. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of spot monkeys jumping around and tables and ladders. I'm just like, that's not a story. Anybody could fall off a ladder. Anybody could dive off a ladder. Anybody could throw somebody's ass into another table. I'm not really a fan of that. Benoit, Jericho, those guys can wrestle a 4-star match with their eyes closed. So it's just counters after counters, great spots, great technical movement, and it's just interesting storytelling, and it's intense. Like you could tell there's a rivalry there, but there's a friendship. Well, in real life, that's why they work so well together. And it's just they just trust each other and they just go balls to the wall in terms of physicality. So Benoit's chops, are just always so vicious and so terrible.
Really are.
Yeah, it's crazy. I did like the triple threat match for the WWE title between Rocky, Triple H, and Kurt. It was a masterful storytelling. The whole thing with it's a love affair or whatever, a love triangle between Stephanie, Kurt, and Triple H.
Stephanie got involved in the match and everything.
Crazy, like the pay-per-view ended with Kurt walking away with Triple H's wife, like carrying her away. Like, what are you doing? And so I thought that was hilarious. Like, you're leaving with that man's wife. That's absolutely ridiculous. Rocky's entertaining as usual. All of his little movements and stuff like that. That's why he's the most electrifying man in all of entertainment. The Blackman Shane match was great. I like this version of Shane. This version of Shane makes the most sense to me. He's just running. He's just a normal person. He doesn't have any skill. He's just running for his life and just scrambling.
You know what I'm saying? TNA had to help him out.
Right.
They still failed epically.
Right. That's what it's about. You're going against somebody, Steve Blackman. He has a black belt. He is a dangerous human being. He is the lethal weapon. So that's
the weapon would kick your ass.
Hey, seriously. But yeah, I know. But those were basically my favorite matches. The joke is, Jose, I'm surprised you didn't say the Shockmaster match wasn't your favorite.
Oh, I didn't think you were gonna. I thought you were gonna say the New Day match was your favorite.
Okay. You know what? Neutral corners. Most of man Rell, let me get your thoughts on the pay-per-view.
So I'm gonna go ahead and it was a good pay-per-view. I think storyline wise, the Triple H, Kurt Angle, that whole storyline, leading up to it was the best storyline out of the pay-per-view. Storyline leading up to the pay-per-view. The best matches, I'm torn because I'm gonna go ahead and say the Chris Benoit was the best match. Entertaining, oohs and ahs, tag team TLC match. I think it continued to show how great that tag team division was at that time and how great they continue to be. And we all saw where all of them went separately when they didn't become tag team, when they were no longer tag teams, solo careers, they all blew up. And it started with the TLC match. I don't believe it's that one. I believe it's another one before, but it started there as well, continued to lead up to it. But the Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit match was, that was an amazing match.
That was an amazing match.
And it showed because shortly a year, I want to say it was a year later, Chris Jericho became the undisputed champion, the first ever. And so I think it catapulted all their careers from Eddie Guerrero to Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, all those guys became stars shortly after that, after that SummerSlam. And remember, SummerSlam is what, number 2 to WrestleMania? So people really took notice to those guys during that time. So I definitely think the Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, match-wise, nothing tops that on that card. Entertainment factor, the TLC match with the tag teams. And I'm a big Edge and Christian, don't care what anybody says. They're a top 3 tag team of all times. We can get into that another time. another day, but that's where I'm putting them. And that match is one of the reasons why they are on that list for me.
Okay. Yeah, that was like crazy right there. Like Teddy Long was in that joint. He was a rep. That's like, well, he's a Hall of Famer now. You know what I'm saying? Look how far back. I think he's had like every job in that joint. So there's some history on that. But I want to get each of you guys' quick opinion right quick before we move on. Where do you rank it, 1 to 10? Jose Quavo.
And see, this is a chock full SummerSlam, man. As SummerSlams go, it's top 10. I'm putting it as a 9.
9? Okay. Muscle Man Rell.
He's mad because he's still, replaying back that Chris Jericho and Benoit match.
No, sorry.
He's scared. He's scared that he doesn't know if it's gonna lose points having the TLC match in there. It's okay. He's still clanging and banging.
Repeat that question for me.
Where do you rank the pay-per-view? Top 10. Real fast.
All time or 2000s?
2000. Or just your ranking system for pay-per-views. Where would you rank it?
3, 4.
As far as pay-per-views or all times?
As far as pay-per-views, like the 2000s.
Okay.
Jay Will. On a scale of 1 to 10, you told 3?
10?
He said
1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest.
Where do I rank it in terms of 2000 to 2009? Where would it go? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Too much protein for you, bro.
I didn't take the protein yet, but I did take the energy drink, so it got me buzzing.
As a pay-per-view, 1 to 10.
I'll give it an 8.
An 8?
An 8.
Okay, Jay Will.
I'm giving it a 9. Honestly, solid 9. It's just disappointing that the main event was not as good as some of the other matches on the lower end of the card.
Okay, Colin. Real fast. What you got?
I'm gonna give it an 8. The Terry and Cat match was trash, and I didn't like the ending to the Taker Kane match.
Thank you, man. We can agree on that because I was like, what in the fuck? Okay, so moving on. All right, staying in the 2000s, staying in the air, staying with this guy. Some people love him, some people hate him. The women love him. Fellas say, hey, we say he sucks. Talking about John Cena. Where do you think John Cena ranks? Nice guy, doing his thing. I feel like he's just taking the Rock's formula and he's doing what he's supposed to do with it. He's following the blueprint. Rock took Hulk Hogan's formula, modified it. John Cena's doing the same thing. Just heard him doing the Honda commercial the other day. I'm like, damn, Cena got the Honda deal? Okay, so he was talking all that smack about The Rock. Well, look at what he's doing now, still making all that money. But we're talking about his wrestling career. We could be talking about his business career too. Where do you think Cena ranks at all time? Some people say he's the greatest. What do you guys think? I want to start with Rell.
John Cena is the greatest champion of all times.
What the fuck?
I wanted to get everybody rolling for a second. All right, but all seriousness, John Cena so there's 2 ways you can break this down. Now, are we saying legacy or are we saying as a champion? Because
when we talk about something like John Cena, right? And I just said The Rock, right? You got to talk about his legacy on that because The Rock really changed the game. You know what I mean? Hulk Hogan showed him how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Roddy Piper, he had his hand into it. You know what I'm saying? He was doing a couple movies and then a commercial, but The Rock changed the game. And then Cena came out, was criticizing The Rock, and The Rock was like, look, this is what I'm doing for my legacy. You're talking smack about it, but this is what I'm doing to feed my family for generations. And next thing you know, Cena's doing the same thing. So we got to rank that.
All right, so I'm gonna rank
matches.
I'm not gonna rank it on wrestling ability because I think he was trash in the beginning. He got better as time goes on. We can debate that another day. If you want to debate it now, we can. That's another ass whooping everyone will take verbally. But I think John Cena ranks, and this may still catch you guys off guard, as champion. I'm sorry, y'all, and my favorite is Shawn Michaels of all time. Shawn Michaels, but John Cena is probably top 3, and I will put him ahead of The Rock.
Lies,
Now,
lies.
in terms of entertainment factor, The Rock is better. As longevity and as mainstay, because remember, The Rock didn't last that long. Stone Cold didn't last that long because of injuries, so it's not their fault. But due to that, see, Hollywood took The Rock, injury took Stone Cold. So due to that, John Cena had staying powers of 13, 14 years as WWF champion, and no one could remove him. There was no one really to give. There was Batista. Can't give him the torch because he's not John Cena. I mean, who else is it? The only other person that really rivaled John Cena was Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar was before the great Brock Lesnar, not this Suplex City one. The great Brock Lesnar was right before him. So I still put John Cena 3, y'all, and I do put him ahead of The Rock. Entertainment factor, my personal, I'll still put The Rock ahead of him, but being realistic here, John Cena is probably the 3rd most important world champion in history in WWF. I'm not including WCW guys. So I'm saying it's Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, John Cena. And the only reason why I put Stone Cold ahead of him, even though he was there for a short time, was no one got pops. The only other person to get a pop like him was Hulk Hogan. The only other person to get like continuous pops close to Hulk Hogan was Stone Cold. So Stone Cold's number 2, then I put John Cena, then I put The Rock, and it's kind of 3A, 3B because my biasness wants to put The Rock ahead of John Cena. But watching it in terms of longevity, John Cena has to be number 3. And let's not mention he beat The Rock last time. All right, I'm done now.
Well, I tell you what, when he told Roman Reigns, he's like, I can do this better part-time than you can ever do this full-time. Like I was a Cena fan after that. I ain't gonna sit here and hold you, man. Jay, Well, what's your thoughts?
So I like Cena. I may not enjoy him as much because I did not watch a lot of his matches in real time. But going back and looking at some of the matches he's had, the mic work is there. The mic work was always there for me. But when it came to the ring work, I was not too excited about him. I will say that I thoroughly enjoyed him towards the later parts when he ran up against, when he had some really good matches against Taker, or he had a good match against Taker, feud with CM. I thought he was great then, but to me personally, if I was to give him a ranking kind of like that, there's much bigger names for me, and I'm just going to keep it at that. If he's in the top, if people want to put a ranking to him, he's on the lower end of a top 10 for me. But I will give him his credit. He's great. He developed over time, and he, again, longevity. He carried the WWE on his back for a long time, over a decade. Over a decade, nobody was able to do that.
That's true. That's true. Jose?
I mean, I don't want to get too real with them, but I'm gonna have to get real with them, bro. Because I'm gonna have to bring your golden boy down a notch. Because first of all, he wasn't even a blip on the radar until he fought Guerrero in the parking lot brawl. First of all, he won. I mean, yes, he is good. Don't get me wrong. Don't think that I don't like Cena because I was actually a huge Cena fan when he started out. But you look at how his creativity has dwindled down, and he's become one of those wrestlers that's just, robotic in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just what you're gonna expect from Cena. So it's like his evolution, yeah, it's gone to pander to the crowd, but as a wrestler, I mean, he's gotten better and he has stamina, of course, but you expect that from wrestlers as they're getting older, as they're getting more experience in the business. And yeah, like you said, he was there 24/7, 48/7. But at the same time, if you look at all the other wrestlers he had, there's no goddamn way you can say he was better than Kurt Angle.
So where do you rank him?
Oh, I mean, Cena, he's top 20, but he's not top 10. I'm sorry, no.
Is that high top 20 or low top 20? Like you put him like number 18 or something?
No, he's high top 20s. He's high top 20s. He's before 15. Just look at it that way.
Oh, okay. Colin, what do you got to say to
that? I mean, Jose, boy. High top 20. That's shit. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna, for the first time in my life, I'm gonna let you have that one because, to each their own. But having John Cena as your top 20 in the history of wrestling, that's a tough one. Me personally, I actually got Cena at 4, and basically I got him because longevity and mainstream crossover appeal. So kind of, Marshall, what you said a minute ago, the blueprint, right? The blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Cena's blueprint was Hulk Hogan and The Rock. Before hustle, loyalty, and respect, there was say your prayers, take your vitamins and believe in Hulkamania. So that, that whole, I'm the ultimate good guy, fight for what's right. I'm going to do the right thing and I'm never going to give up. Hulk Hogan, John Cena, they're the same person. And obviously the blueprint for Cena's current Hollywood career is The Rock. So basically he followed both of those paths or both of those blueprints, and that's where he is today. With Cena, his matches were okay to good. That's what I thought personally. The 5 moves of doom, 5 knuckle shuffle, attitude adjustment, cross shoulder block or flying shoulder block, all that stuff is it wasn't anything
watching
special.
Hogan. It was really, watching Hogan.
Yeah, seriously, watching Hogan. And I understand that. You kind of go with what brought you to the dance. So if that's what, is interesting and what people liked, why switch it up? But my thing is the reason why a lot of his matches were quote unquote good was because at one point he became Super Cena. So anyone that kicked out of an attitude adjustment, it kind of got you out of your seat. Like, oh shit, wait a minute, hold on, Cena might lose. Oh wait, until he did like a super attitude adjustment, then you're like, all right, it's a fucking wrap. But back in the day, if you kicked out of an attitude adjustment, it's like, oh shit, wait a minute, Cena might lose, and that's because he won like 1,000 matches in a row. So it was such a rarity. I also, another thing is, somebody said it earlier on. It's kind of true. If Lesnar didn't leave, I don't know if John Cena would have taken it to the next level.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, so that's because if Lesnar's there, then that glass ceiling is obviously there for John Cena. They loved Brock Lesnar. They pushed Brock Lesnar to the moon. So I don't know exactly. Maybe they would have. I don't know. Maybe they would have had Cena go over to whatever the other show was and be the franchise of that other show that Lesnar wasn't on. But I don't know if he could have gotten past Lesnar. Vince loved Lesnar. And the one last thing I'll say is, I think in terms of being that golden boy, again, I think I honestly feel that Vince kind of like falls in love with dudes. Like he's like, this is my guy, like Reigns right now. Like, this is my guy. I'm going with him, and no matter what, anything be damned. To be honest with you, I think CM Punk could have, had a chance to run up and be something special. I think he could have been the number 1 dude. I think Jeff Hardy at one point, and it was for a small moment in time. I think it was in 2008. Jeff was the most beloved person in the company. Orton never got a full chance to be like, hey, I'm the franchise guy. I am the guy. And the same thing with Batista. I mean, after that I think it was a WrestleMania 21 match with Triple H, he should have been the face of the company, to be honest with you. But I think Vince just fell in love with Cena, said, this is the anointed one. This is going to be my next Hulk Hogan. And it was like, fuck everybody else.
Okay. So it seems like you and Rell are on the same page when it comes to Cena. And Jose and Jay Will are, not, Jose's really like, I was kind of shocked. Jose's like, yeah, Cena can kiss ass. Like I would have, I wasn't expecting that from
he can kick rocks, bro. He can kick rocks.
So you're basically like everything that Colin just said, you're like, that's some bullshit, or
I mean, look, here's the thing, man. Just look at it this way. You said it yourself, man. They need to know when to say enough is enough and give someone else a chance, right? Because if you look at it that way, think about it. Brock Lesnar still being in the company, do you really think he would have been able to handle an F5 as opposed to an attitude adjustment? Look at how much they mirror each other. You get what I'm saying? And yeah, him in another company. Look at that simple fact too. If you take Cena out of the WWE, how well do you think he's gonna fare in all these other places? And I mean, that's a question we can answer later.
Jose, hold on. You're fucking up. So if they have Reigns now, but if you're telling me between, whenever, I don't know, whenever Cena really took off, so I guess that's WrestleMania 20 when he beat the Big Show. Between then and Reigns, you're telling me if Cena wasn't there, because your question was a backward question. You said if you take Cena out of the business, and Cena goes and does something else, well, where is he? The joke is the question is where is the business without John Cena between 2004 and 2013? It's not going to have. It wouldn't be as big as it is.
I'll tell you exactly where it is. It's going to be the same place where it's always been, because that's what they do with their wrestlers. They give them the hype and they drop them as quickly as they can, bro.
I disagree.
You see that?
I disagree, and I'm sorry. I don't want to stop you, and I don't want to take too long on this topic. I disagree only because we saw what happened when they gave Diesel the ball to run with it, and the ratings went down. Same thing with Shawn Michaels, favorite wrestler of all time. Ratings weren't the same. Shawn Michaels is not John Cena. Wrestling-wise, John Cena is not Shawn Michaels. But in terms of star factor, there is nobody really comparable to John Cena, and I agree with Colin, other than Hulk, because he's a mix of Hulk Hogan and The Rock. And that's why I said 3A, 3B with The Rock, because it's star power that we haven't seen it. I want you to think about the gap in years now. It's Hulk Hogan. We only named 4 people, and wrestling's been going on, so we're starting from the 80s. Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, because they wanted Ultimate Warrior, didn't work out. They wanted Diesel, didn't work out. Shawn Michaels couldn't run with it the way Hulk Hogan did. They wanted Lex Luger, couldn't work out. So that kind of kills your argument right there, because they couldn't move on the way they wanted to. So they put the belt right back on Hulk Hogan. And then look what happened. Stone Cold came. Okay, then after Stone Cold, it was The Rock. That's rare when you have 2 guys of equal star power, close to equal star power at the same time. That's just one era. After that, it was John Cena, who ran with it for 13 years before we have Roman Reigns. And we still wouldn't say Roman Reigns is Stone Cold, John Cena, The Rock, Hulk Hogan. So I want you to think about that time. We still wouldn't say Batista or those guys. Yeah, they're second-tier guys, Randy Orton. And that's what they'll continue to be, second-tier main event guys. That's what
wow. So you're saying, ref, you finish this matchup.
Hold on, but yeah, we're about to close this one out right here.
Undertaker, I'll say this and I'm leaving it. Undertaker's always a main event guy, but he was never the guy. John Cena, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and The Rock were the guys. And that's what I'm saying it. And hopefully some people understand what I'm saying here. Because I'm not saying they're not main eventers, the other guys aren't, but they're not the guy. That's it.
Well, we're going to end it with that. Cena, you're all right with me. Don't come after me. I think Cena's up there, great champion. And we're going to end it on that one. And we're going to move on to feuds. We've been talking about feuds and going on about feuds and this beef and that beef. Who had the best feud of 2000? We're going to start with Jose.
Oh, you got to give it to me again. I mean, the 2000s, the 2000s was jam-packed with so many great feuds. My favorite feud by far was the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
They just took it to so many levels where you did not expect. And to piggyback on what somebody said earlier, you can go through a table and you may not call that entertaining, but I would love to see you try to jump off a ladder into a table that has no one there.
4 of them.
I would love to see you try that. And call me back tomorrow and let me know how you feel. Because that right there should let you know. See, it's not just about how they progressed with their feuds. They took it to other levels. You know, you would see Edge doing something and messing it up, and then on top of that, you had them developing storylines that would transgress even further and bring in other tag teams in like the Dudley Boys, which were an amazing addition. And that's why it's like you see Edge and Christian separately, all four of them really have developed into amazing superstars, not just in the WWE, but you see them in New Japan, you see them in Impact. They have an influence, and they really did change a lot of the ways that people look at wrestling and at wrestlers.
Yes. I feel like those three guys right there, those three teams right there, transcended the tag team division through that era. Because let me tell you, we got the TLC pay-per-view. I mean, Chergatos, you know what I mean? The Hardys and jumping off of crazy ass ladder heights. Like Jeff, what the fuck are you doing? Like, people's actually scared to fight these guys. Like, man, I don't know what the hell they're gonna do to me. You know what I mean? Oh my God. Rell, what do you think? I'm gonna tell you something, Rell. Another feud that I liked was Benoit and Jericho. What do you think?
So it's funny. I'm gonna keep mine simple because I realized the last 3 times I ran on rambling. So I'm gonna keep this very simple. I agree with the Hardys versus Dudleys and Edge and Christian. It's hard to really debate that because they put on some hellacious matches. And then I'm gonna keep it really simple here. Any long-term feud between Triple H and insert name, whether it's Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, whatever, Kurt Angle. So Triple H, any long-term with Triple H, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho. You can insert any name versus whoever they want to be. But those 3 guys in the tag team division were the best feuds of the 2000s because they legitimately ran the 2000s. Because remember, The Rock left for Hollywood really early and Stone Cold retired really early. So they needed those guys, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Triple H, to kind of carry it. And so I'll go there. And I might even say Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker because of those 2 matches that they put on. But I'd just say anybody versus Chris Jericho, Triple H, Kurt Angle, and I will insert The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, you hit that on the head for me too. Triple H, like when he was beefing with Cactus Jack, that was a good ass joint right there.
Underrated definitely. 2 matches.
Man,
underrated match. It wasn't any false count anywhere. What was that when the they had the nails and then they had
that was I think that was Royal Rumble or No Way Out is one of them.
No Way Out. It was No Way Out. And then they had Hell in the Cell right after that. They
and one of them was Jack's last match. Well, it was on full time. You know what I mean?
Hell in the Cell, and that showed you how great that actually put Triple H on the map as a solo ring guy because no one really took him serious at that much. He was always a second tier Intercontinental. But then when he won the World Championship and he had the matches, I remember that Hell in the Cell match. I actually remember that Cactus Jack feud really well.
Yeah.
But that's why I put Triple H insert anywhere. Insert any name, Batista, Chris Jericho,
The Rock.
Michaels, The Rock. I mean, it's the matches. So
Okay. Jay Will. What's your favorite feud?
Man. So one of my favorites might have been the Triple H versus Chris Jericho feud. Chris Jericho, great mic work all the way around. But his slinging insults at Stephanie McMahon, hilarious. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh no, he said, you heard the song "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor"? Let's let the boobies hit the floor. Oh man, good stuff there. Triple H, Triple H as a good guy is always weird to me. Triple H Chris Jericho as a bad guy, highly enjoyable. Like Triple H I think about Triple H when he's a good guy, it's still not as believable. Like he did not have the look of a good guy to me at any point. But I thoroughly enjoyed this particular feud. I also wonder, like he said, like Rell said, Triple H up against anybody in the feud is pretty good because like the Triple H and Kurt Angle feud was really good too. Kurt Angle kissing Stephanie McMahon, that was funny. That was on the SummerSlam that we just talked about. Pretty good. Yeah, those are my 2 favorite feuds of the 2000s.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, they was Triple H is like the man when it comes to beefing with cats, man. Like I said, that Cactus Jack one, that one was sick, and of course we can't forget the one with him and The Rock. You know, HBK guest referee, Judgment Day. That was a good beef right there too. But that's our show for today, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to end it with this because I'm thinking about getting this new PS. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know about that new PS coming out?
Absolute PS5.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes.
Hey,
My brother got it. I'm about to get it next.
We got 2 in the house.
we got 2.
Man, Xbox, bro. Don't bring none of that PlayStation nonsense around here.
That's what I've been saying, bro.
Colin, you feuding over there with some game systems?
I gotta get that new PS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you, man, because you be on that history shit, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think I'm gonna take it back to you, which I think I forgot to ask you, man. What's your favorite feuds?
Oh, it's no problem, man. Don't ever do it again.
Know my role. I got know my role.
No. Yeah, just real quick. I got CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy. Jeff, the free spirit, the charismatic enigma, living in the moment, versus the straight edge savior. Punk used to say all the time he has a natural high on life, and he doesn't need an addiction to make himself feel good about himself. So I thought that was pretty crazy. Taker versus Lesnar in 2002. It really solidified Lesnar as a main event player. Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. I mean, they fought for like pretty much an entire year. They had a classic, obviously, at WrestleMania 19. They had a classic Iron Man match on SmackDown. And a classic match on SummerSlam of 2003. So just, and again, the parallels between those two guys was everything, because they took the wrestling world by storm. They were world champion within, I think, their rookie year. Tremendous athletes. And last but not least, I got Cena versus Edge. So, they had a TLC match also, and it was one of the all-time best. And it was crazy because Cena gave Edge, the AA, off the top of the ladder into a stack of tables. So those boys were always trying to outdo each other and always trying to outdo everybody else. So that's my favorite feuds.
Okay,
we forgot to say Edge and Matt Hardy, and I'm surprised no one said Edge and Matt Hardy due to the real life storyline. But that's another one. I'll digress.
Yeah, that one almost went X-rated. Talk about rated R, man. But what? We're gonna wrap it up on that one. You know what I'm saying? And hope those trying to be like the rated R superstar wrapping it up out there. You know what I mean? But that's our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? This has been a 613 Faye Productions podcast. And like I was saying earlier, I guys like them systems, right? The new game systems. Anybody got that joint? Because I'm thinking about getting one.
That PS5 is nice, man.
That PS5 is nice.
They ended up buying it twice in my house, bro. I don't know why.
Okay. So I'm gonna tune in. I want y'all to tune in to Tone and Cash Gaming Podcast, or Gaming Pad Podcast, excuse me. Airing Thursdays at 11 a.m. on the 613 Faye Productions. Find it on YouTube, Facebook, 6/13 Faye Productions, Instagram, 613 Faye DMV. Y'all fellas have fun today? Did y'all have a good time?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Listen, man, you had a good time today, baby?
Absolutely.
My man. Colin, you had a good time today?
Yes, sir.
Hey, sorry about that too, man. I ain't mean to forget you. I ain't never gonna forget you again, man. I ain't trying to get no chair to the back of the head, you know what I mean?
You're good, man. Don't worry about
it. Jose Quavo.
Yes, sir.
You have a good time today?
Oh yeah.
My man. Jay Will, how about yourself?
Yeah, man. You know how we do it.
You already know. And I have been your host, Mr. Soul, Marshall Simmons. You can catch me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And like I said before, this has been a 613 Faye production. Mike T, give a shout out as a producer. Tone, co-producer, give a shout out. Like to thank everybody, and we're gonna catch y'all next time. We out.